Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. After a couple of week hiatus, we are back with some of the best names in PC League Racing. What a fantastic championship we've got ahead of us at the moment. 6 points separating the top 3 drivers. 16 points, a race win, separating the top 4. Who will be able to take a big stand under the lights here in Saudi Arabia? Round number 9, it is the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. Joining me tonight, as always, is Chris Buxton. And Chris, it is looking like a fascinating championship battle so far, especially given the shenanigans, shall we say, that we saw a couple of weeks ago at Brazil.
Let's move on, shall we? Yes, there was a few questionable moments, of which both Ruben Pedronio and Alfie Butcher, who are joint on points, only 6 points apart from Joost Noordijk, our current championship leader. Ruben has a qualifying ban for this race for impeding Alfie Butcher, and Alfie Butcher had 5 seconds added to his race time last time out at Interlagos. But we've got 3 rounds remaining, of which round 9, as I said, is here in Jeddah for Saudi Arabia, and with Max Wiesel taking the win last time out in Interlagos, catapulted him right up to 4th and in championship contention. I mean, in fairness, Duncan Hoffman is still there, but is a little bit more of a long shot, being further 7 points back from Max. But it is time to head down to the streets of Saudi Arabia to see what the weather has got in store for our qualifying session.
Yes, and you might be thinking there, what do you mean the weather's got in store? What could happen? If anyone remembers Season 30 around here on the PC platform, there was actually rain at Saudi Arabia. I know, it's crazy. It did actually happen. You can see the results from last week then, that penalty dropping Alfie Butcher down towards 9th place in the race. So that means at the moment then, Alfie now drops only 6 points off the lead of the championship, so still obviously will in the hunt of the championship as other things are going at the moment. Joost in the lead of that one. Ruben, Alfie, Max Wiesel, all with that realistic chance, and then still that fantastic battles going in behind. Luke Smith, Christophe Scheller, Simon Pernier, all on 34 points at the moment. George Nader and Carter Lundy not too far back either. And in the Constructors' Championship, things looking good for Aston Martin at the moment. They have now got Ben Charbot-Cognier rather than Joost Noordijk. We did speculate last time, was Joost in the wrong car here? Because he's normally in an Aston Martin, and last time out it was in a Haas. It was definitely a deliberate choice because he is now, of course, driving for the Haas team as a development driver, helping out their esports squad, and we have seen some fantastic results a couple of weeks ago in esports, but the drivers are just starting to get ready to head out on track to get this qualifying session on the way. Unsurprisingly, as we expected, it is nice and dry, and it is all set to midnight, so it is a bit darker in qualifying to what they would perhaps be used to if they used official. Everyone headed out there on the soft tyres, and that is Jack West retiring from the session. Not sure if he's got a quali ban from the last time he was out, or whether he's just trying something very brave with a last to first. Not normally a track you'd see it round.
No, I'm going to double check that because I wasn't expecting Jack to do that. I'm
You're not the only one.
Yeah, that's confused me a little bit. I'm just going to double check the stewards' findings to see if there was unless it's a penalty hanging over from previous rounds that has yet to be served. I'm just going to have a look at that. I'll be right back.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So a few of the drivers are talking about whether things are going to be wet at the moment. Will Lewis is also retired in the pits. I can tell you that is definitely not a qualifying ban. I think this is almost certainly drivers just trying something different around this circuit. Out of all the street circuits, it is one that tends to produce quite a bit of chaos. Not quite at Baku levels, but is always a very interesting circuit, and a lot of cars heading out there early on. One of the few to stay in the pit lane at the moment outside of West and Lewis is Mirko Soriano, aka TF10_Denerco. For those of you who watch our PlayStation Leagues on the Monday, he is of course now transitioning over to the PC platform. As he said, he's one of the only drivers, actually he might be the only driver who made his way through challenges to not actually be affiliated with an esports team or an academy at the moment. So he's now looking to show what he can do on the best platform in league racing. But here comes George Nader then, ready to start a lap around the Saudi Arabia circuit, making his way in towards turn 1 and completely getting that wrong on the braking zone. Yeah.
Wow, that could not have gone much worse for George there. I can't find why either Jack or Will have decided to park it, unless they feel that they want to avoid the early carnage into turn 1, which I don't blame them. It's not a huge run from the start line to turn 1, but as we all know, this is narrow. It is very, very narrow. So they're hoping to kind of avoid the early carnage that is almost certainly going to go on into turn 1. As Pedreño, he's too has parked it.
And that one is a qualify.
Oh yes, of course, we were talking about that one. Yes, he has got a quali ban. Now he would have been allowed to. I'm fairly sure I'm right in saying he would have been allowed to come out and do at least an outlap, but he would not have been allowed to set a time. So either way, he is parked the car. I'm riding on board with Alfie Butcher at the moment in the Williams that's right behind George. So he's going to be the first one over the line to set a time. Of course, we saw George Nader invalidate his lap at the first opportunity. What is the Williams driver going to do? Comes out of the final turn 27. And over the line, what is the opening gambit? 1:27.097 is what Alfie's put on the board. Never mind. Championship leader, Joost Noordijk. 27.010. Floris Vyers is with us this week. He has put in a 27.137. Who else? Danny Lusink, another reserve in for this race. Well, whilst I'm mentioning that, let's talk about who isn't or who is replacing who this time out. So Primož Miklavčić is replaced by I can't pronounce this properly. Santeri Matikainen. Ruben Vallejo is replaced by Danny Lusink. Ben Sabakoni is replaced by Ishmael Farsi. Jack Laverty by Drake Dempsey, and Simon Perroni, who Simon I know has caught COVID, so I know he's ill. Is Mirko Soriano is who is replacing him. So Joost Noordijk is the one with the opening standard on the board. As usual, the opening times very, very, very close to one another. Quite a few invalidations, judging by this. What have we got? 5 cars that invalidated their first try. Oh dear, that's Jeddah for you.
Yeah, that is Jeddah. Normally, street circuits, you don't think of being tracks where you can really pick up loads of invalidations, but as we just see Mirko Soriano coming around on an in-lap here, very good first opening run. Said he's not done a lot of practice around here, only 900ths of a second off. That entire first sector has a lot of places where you can get things wrong as he now heads around the long banked hairpin there, where you can sometimes see drivers attempt an overtake at turn number 13. I think the first sector at Jeddah might actually win the record for most corners in one sector. There's 12 there, and of course this second longest track on the calendar and the one with the most corners. 27 corners for these drivers to negotiate around what is at the end of the day, this is a properly fast street circuit. I mean, yes, we know it's only going to be a temporary thing, and in real life there's been, many concerns about the safety of it, but in league racing, always seems to provide some crazy action.
Yeah, I'm really not sure who thought this was a good idea with 27 corners in it, but hey-ho. I'm not really surprised there's worries about its safety. So let's see, who hasn't set a time on the board yet? Well, Pedreño obviously can't because he's parked his car due to the quali ban. Matthew Alder is back out there in the Red Bull. Christoph Zeller is back on track in the AlphaTauri. Jack West has decided to park it. George Nader invalidated his last effort at turn 1, as we saw. He's not back on track just yet. Spain's Ike Baena is out there in the Merc. He's just coming through. That's around 14, 15. Add a million in there. Pick a number out of a hat. He's at that turn. Drake Dempsey is not put a time on the board yet. He hasn't come back out on track. And for some reason, Will Lewis decided he doesn't want to play ball in qualifying either. But wow, Joost is not hanging around. He's back out on track along with his friend Pookie. So, yeah, quite a few drivers not resting on their laurels, not wanting to just let the timer tick down. And I'm not really surprised, obviously, this being a much younger circuit as far as F1 familiarity is concerned. It's not one of these tracks that's in your racing DNA. It's one of these things that you've got to work that bit harder to get that muscle memory for. So I'm not surprised that people are getting back out and getting as many racing laps in as they can.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, just talking about that muscle memory, one of the corners I'm really struggling with, well, some would say I struggle at all corners on the F1 game, but it's for you, I believe it's for you, turn number trying to quickly work it through my head. I believe it's the new turn number 6 at Australia, which is a lot faster than it used to be. And I lose so much time through there because I keep stamping on the brakes for a corner that doesn't really exist anymore, because I drove for roughly 20 years with that corner being there. But that is why I'm commentating, and that is why these guys are racing. And maybe we're going to see why Joost Noordijk is on provisional pole position at the moment as he makes his way down the finish straight in towards...
trouble, sorry, Luke. Matthew Alder's lost it. He's been that one. The tail got lively on him coming through. I've got to work out what turn it is because my map's upside down to the track mapping game. It's 16. The tail got loose on him, and unfortunately that pitched him towards the wall, and wheels have detached. So Alder will be starting no higher than 15th.
Yeah, not ideal whatsoever for Matthew Alder. He's not had the easiest of seasons transitioning over from obviously PlayStation champion in season 30. Not been the easiest start to his PC career. Going back to Yo, someone who has done relatively well for himself at the moment. Obviously leading this championship, and now a Haas development driver, and he was faster in Sector 1. Now, speaking to some of the drivers, they were expecting you might even need mid-26ers to get pole position. It doesn't quite look like, though, the track is going to be that fast at the moment. Noordijk a 10th up as he makes his way in through Sector 3, through those little left-handers of turn number 25 and 26. Basically, treating this as a straight with the DRS wide open. Nearly 210 miles per hour as he makes the breaking point at the Verstappen turn number 27, where one of the greatest laps in Formula 1 history never happened. And Noordijk, in the end, decides to dive that car straight back into the pit. So clearly felt like there was a bit more time he could have got on that lap. Christoph Scheller, he is also invalidated as he heads towards the line. Let's see what Santeri... No, it's not Santeri, the next car we're going to go on board with. Let's see what Mirko Soriano can do. And he is also backed off of his lap. So, a bit like first time around, a lot of drivers struggling to get things right at the moment. None more so than Matthew Alder.
Well, indeed, he can't improve on where he is. I'm having a look at Drake Dempsey in the now yellow accented Ferrari, as drivers are still trying to find a bit of extra space. Wow, as Alfie Butcher slams in a 26.7 on the board. Nicely done. Claims that top spot in the Williams. Now, what does the Ferrari do? Streaming towards the line now. Does Dempsey get on the board? It's a 27.090. Nicely done. Up into fourth. What a lap. He's done it again. Alfie Butcher screaming out with the solid pace.
Yeah, just after I said, doesn't look like we're going to see anyone near the mid-26ers, Alfie Butcher goes 3/10 of a second faster than everyone. And, it's probably not too surprising, given that we have got a lot of corners around here. There are lots of places where you can make up some time. Now, I said Matthew Alder won the title last year on the PlayStation. He had a fantastic battle with this man, Ismail Fassi, who's now making his way towards the finish line in the Aston Martin, gets himself up into 11th place. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised by it, but it is an incredibly long track. Joost Noordijk in second, Santeri Martikainen in 12th, 1.5 tenths of a second, around 6.1 kilometres. Crazy.
Yep. Well, yeah, exactly that. It's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. And every single race, I say this every single time, and I make no apology for it, I am always astounded by how close each grid position is. As speaking of Mirko Soriano, he's just jumped up into second in the Alfa Romeo, 126.990, and that's still a couple of tenths off of Alfie's absolutely storming lap up top. Nicely done. Who else can we have a look at? Danny Lusink. You're on a lap and you've got a face full of traffic at the moment in the McLaren. Sole surviving McLaren at the moment. He's heading on down to 27, so he's on the last turn. I wince at how close they get to the wall. Of course, you have to maximize your speed. And is it an improvement? You bet it is. 126.846 for Danny, then slots him into second.
Yeah, not bad at all from Danny. We've not seen him too much this season. Obviously got a ban earlier on in the season. Only has finished one race so far, and that was a 12th place at Miami. So his only finish was in a fairly new street circuit to Formula 1. That might just give him a tiny bit of confidence, as the man who was on top at the start of the session was improving on his second. Oh, Noordijk almost ended up joining his old rival Matthew Alder in the pits, and massive spin from the Haas car. Somehow, I think, just about managed to avoid the barrier, but even the best can get it wrong around this circuit, and it's definitely proving that today these guys are pushing hard in qualifying.
Oh, yes, even the greats make mistakes. Oh, Iker Baena almost did the same. Just coming out of turn 13, his Mercedes got really, really squiggly. Just managed to catch it. Oh, and he's hit the wall. He's just grazed the wall on the exit of 17. Again, I think that's 17. Still pressing on, though. He's still got his foot fairly nailed to the floor. And sweeping through, what's that, 22, 23. He's still giving it plenty. Is he going to finish this lap? We will see still. He's the only surviving car with no time on the board. At the moment, it's a Mercedes 19th and 20th. They would occupy the 10th row if qualifying ended the way it is now. Now, does Iker come in? No, he is going to finish this lap. What does he get on the board? It's 6th with a 27.086. What have we got? 6 drivers? 5 drivers in the 27.0 range. 6 drivers, I think, in the 27.1s. Absolutely unreal.
Yeah, absolutely unreal. And someone who's hoping to get at least into the 27.0s is last week's race winner, Max Wiesel. Knows that he's now got a sniff of an opportunity of taking this championship. It's all really been to talk about Joost, Alfie and Ruben so far, but Max is not that far off, and it looks as though this lap could be good enough to get him onto the front 4 rows of the grid alongside Istvan Pukki, who's now just shot himself up in towards 3rd place. So as we follow the Alpine driver around that turn number 27, getting the car turned in nicely on the throttle early, little bit of a slide through the final corner, and let's see what this is for Max Wiesel. Comes across the line, up in towards 3rd place, 2 thousandths faster than Pukki, but still no one able to get close to Butcher's time. But we've seen, the likes of Nordyke, the likes of Drake Dempsey, Floris Vyers as well, have only really got 1 fast lap in so far, so you've got to think there's improvements to come from the likes of those.
What does Carter Lundy do? Is he going to start another lap? Is he going to come in? No, he's going to come in. I think he was on a lap, but it's he's binned it somewhere and he's invalidated it somewhere around the track. Iker should be coming in because, yeah, he's got no ERS left, so we know he's done a lap on those tyres. Ooh, well. Just, was it 6/10 top to bottom at the moment? And so people are getting closer to Alfie's time, but where the hell did he find that? He does this time and again. He doesn't leave it to the last second. He just throws in an absolutely stonking lap and then just basically says, go on then, have a go. I'm going to sit here and relax for a while. Absolutely superb pace. But still coming back out on track. Duncan Hoffman we haven't mentioned thus far, or I haven't at least. And the Aston Martin is back out on track. Carter has decided to park the car. He's enough is enough. I don't actually know how much is left of the session because we constantly have yellow flags. We all know how this works. The yellows would disappear. I would tell you how long is left, but I don't think there's much left. Well, there we go. We're into the Banzai phase. Just a couple of minutes remaining. So it is do or die, all or nothing now for our drivers.
Yeah, it is. And Duncan Hoffman, the man who in his last 2 races has qualified 11th and finished in 3rd place. Needs to find a few tenths of a second to get himself up into that 11th place. Probably not a strategy. He admits it. It's Duncan, absolutely fantastic driver as Max retires in the pits. He knows he can't get out again. The one weakness Duncan Hoffman has is qualifying, and that is, that, and coupled with the fact that he hasn't been able to do every race so far this season, is why, despite his brilliant race pace, we're not really seeing him in that championship battle at the moment. And another driver who's not really had the consistency that he would have wanted after taking a storming victory earlier on in the season at the Italian Grand Prix is George Nader. So let's see what the Lebanese driver can do in the Haas and what is going to be his final lap in qualifying with just under 90 seconds remaining. A much nicer turns number 1, 2 and 3 from the Haas driver compared to what we saw on the first one. And then nice and tidy through there as well, through turns number 4, 5. These just come at you thick and fast around the Jeddah circuit. It's all about keeping it smooth. It's all about taking the shortest line. It's all about making sure that you've got the momentum out of 9, 10, 11 and 12 to streak your way down the straight towards turn number 13, which was, of course, the drag reduction system zone on F1 2021, but now it aligns with the DRS in real life, which is coming out of turn number 17 with detection point for that, which is where we're now seeing the Haas driver make his way through here, streaking his way through the right and left. There was the detection point. DRS opening halfway down this straight leg section of the circuit, making your way through 18, 19, 20 and 21. Spot your braking point at the 50-metre board. And then nice and calmly through there. Sixth gear for him with Floris Myers has lost it out on circuit on the exit of 10, 11 and 12. So the Dutchman, the former eSports driver, he won't be taking any further part in this session. He won't be qualifying any higher than 11th. Maybe just a tiny bit late on the brakes there from Nader. We'll see if that's cost him any time. Take the shortest possible line, of course. Vroom, turn 27. And that is 8th place for George Nader. Istvan Pukki is in 4th place. That is the highest he can do. He didn't get around to finish his lap in time. What's it going to be for Duncan Hofland? Stays in 15th.
Wow, improvement in time and not position for Duncan Hofland. Yeah, I have no idea how the hell Floris managed that. At the point where he was, it was almost dead straight, and somehow he's hit the wall and ended up facing backwards. God knows how he's managed that. Martikainen has parked it in 14th position with the 27-1. Danny Lusing is still pressing on. Alfie invalidated his last run. Ismail Farsi up in the 9th, 27.052. What can the surviving McLaren do? Can he take the top? Oh, it's an improvement in time, but not position. 126.795 for Danny Lusing. Who is next over the line? I think it was Yost. 127.0. Mirko Siriano. 26.930, cannot close towards the top. Drake Dempsey 5th, 26.924. Great effort there. Is that Ika Baena? He's invalidated his lap. I think Zeller is the last one on a lap. What can he do in the AlphaTauri? Currently 9th with a 27.023. Screams towards the line. Is it an improvement? I have no idea. I didn't see where that ended up. 3rd. He ended up in 3rd place, did Christoph Zeller.
Yeah, big improvement from Zeller then at the end of that lap. Not bad whatsoever for some of these guys, and especially not bad if your name's Alfie Butcher, because you have got pole position in your race, and it's not been an ideal start for his championship rivals at the moment. It is Alfie Butcher on pole position. Danny Lusing 2nd, Zeller, Wiesel, Pukki, your top 5. Drake Dempsey and Mirko Soriano on their F2 debuts, 6th and 7th. Norbert Jacob, championship leader Joost Noordijk in 9th. Ismail Fassi is 10th. And then the bottom 10 drivers, Nader, Baena, Vyers, Martikainen, Hofland, Lundy, and Pedreño, Older, Weston, Lewis, all failing to set a time. It's going to be a fascinating race. We'll see you after the break. And here we go then. The Jeddah Corniche circuit, first used in Formula 1 last year in 2021, and has had 2 very exciting and sometimes controversial races as well so far in F1 history. You'll be unsurprised to know that it is nice and dry for the race. Alfie Butcher on pole position, and if the race finishes how it starts, Alfie will be taking the championship lead going into Austin next week. And then our final round in Britain in a couple of weeks' time. But there's 25 laps to go in between now and then. 5 lights are on here at Jeddah. Quite a long hold, but they go out and we are underway for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. What are the starts like? Straight away, Alfie Butcher able to maintain the lead in towards turn number 1 as Norbert Jacob thinks about a move. Down the inside of some drivers and Noordijk's round. Championship leader Joost Noordijk almost facing the wrong way. He's dropped to the back of the field there. But it is Butcher leading at the front. Fassi having to... Oh, Fassi up in the air. Over the top of Mirko Soriano there. Completely took off. And the Aston Martin missing all of his front wing. And there's another car round, I think. That's Duncan Hofland.
Hofland.
It's been a nightmare start for the 2 Aston Martins. And it's been sort of the crazy starts that you expect in a street circuit.
Well, somewhat, and I think that's why some of the drivers parked it without doing a quali lap. This is exactly what they anticipated. Jack West and Ruben Pedreño swapping around the McLaren, surrounded by the Ferrari engines at least. But Alfie Butcher is just doing his own thing. Everybody's starting on the hard tyres this time around. But, oh my goodness, that could not have gone worse for Ismail Farsi. Absolutely disastrous. So he's limping that one, but at least he's still going. He hasn't just parked it on the side of the road. I'll give him that much. But Joost Noordijk must be seething. And now being down in 17th position. I mean, he's already made up 3 because of the misadventures of others. As Matthew Alder and Floris Vyers are now dancing and they're screaming their way down to turn 27. The Red Bull getting ahead of the Williams. But, wow, my goodness me. And that's Jack West round. Oh, my goodness. And Floris Vyers actually got kind of tapped by Joost there. So I think Joost is somewhat seeing red. But Jack West is now in trouble.
Yeah, Jack West in trouble. Thankfully for him, he's been able to get away without any damage. Floris and Ismail Fassi, not that lucky. I mean, we did see Ismail, I mean, there's no other word for it. He took off on the back of Mirko Soriano. Those two raced together last season, and now it is a DNF. So Ismail Fassi out of this race. Floris Vyers is going to be carrying on a set of medium tyres, but won't really be able to take them towards the end. And as you can see here, well, there's no point in having the tyre data on because everyone apart from Floris is on a set of the hard tyres. No one has gone for anything different, and he might have had a brilliant start to the race, but everyone's been able to stay with Alfie Butcher at the moment, and it is only Jack and Floris that are outside of that DRS range, as Floris has already picked up a 3-second time penalty. Not ideal whatsoever. Not sure whether that could be a glitched penalty at all, but or if we go back to further down the field, all is not lost for Joost Noordijk. Yes, he can't do anything different on the strategy, really, apart from, you know, a crazy undercut or a crazy overcut. But we know he's got the pace, and he's still within DRS range of everyone.
Very true. And he's only 7 seconds off of Alfie, who's not breaking away from the field at the moment. So that's what you've got to bear in mind. Soriano is getting very, very close to the back of the Red Bull of Norbert Jacker, who in turn is on the back of his fellow future esports competitor Istvan Pukki. Another fastest lap for Alfie, which that is going to continue to tumble down. DRS now available to our drivers. Yes, it will help, but it's DRS, well, we'll see. It's not brilliant here at this particular circuit, but even if you do get the overspeed, making the move is very, very risky. You've got to trust the person you're overtaking because you do not have a lot of room to try and correct any mistakes.
Yeah, it'll help if your name's, you know, Danny Lusing at the moment. 7 tenths off the car in front. You're the only one who's in range of someone, and the car in front of you does not have that overtaking aid, the drag reduction system, which you can use 3 times around this circuit. Joint most with, you know, other circuits, Bahrain, Miami. Seen Austria as well being an incredibly short circuit to have those 3 DRS zones, but Danny will just be thinking, can, you know, stick with him at the moment, see what can happen later on in this race, as we get a beautiful helicopter shot of the cars weaving their way around the corniche here in Jeddah, as that's Christoph Scheller just closing in behind. I think perhaps went a bit too deep into that corner. Certainly looked as though he was going very quick in towards the braking zone for turns number 20 and 21 there. You can just see how much Lusing's closing up at the moment, and you can see him almost thinking about going for the inside line. Now, we saw Verstappen and Leclerc doing this year, as Mirko Soriano goes up in towards 7th place. You don't want to go for the move in towards turn number 27, because chances are you're just going to allow the car behind you to get the DRS straight back. And Danny Lusing waits towards turn number 1, gets the lead of this race. This could be a common theme between these two. If they work well together, this could certainly help them out.
But also do bear in mind that the drivers can still use DRS along that start-finish straight. So they're not a complete sitting duck if they choose to do that. Yes, Soriano, DRS overtake into turn 27 and still had DRS available to him to defend against Norbert Jakob. So a fairly straightforward move for the Alfa Romeo for 7th place, as, of course, we play fastest lap ping-pong at the moment. Yeah, Danny Lusing, I'm a little surprised he's made the move that early, but he's opted to do so. He's going to try and break away from Alfie Butcher. Now, Alfie's running his own race at the moment. He's not barely using any ERS energy. There's not a lot of usage of it in the top. I'm just running down the field. You've got to go down to Norbert Jakob in 8th position before you even get below 60%. Everyone else, even outside of the top 10, is over 60%. Oh, Will Lewis, who's had a pretty rough start already, he's the only one that's is around the 40s. Everyone else is got very high charge in the battery at the moment. Here comes Alfie again to challenge the McLaren, and no, he's happy to sit there at the moment. At this stage in the race, we all know what the deal is. People just kind of going through the motions, although no one told George Nader that. He's just gone on the inside of Norbert Jakob to try and make the Red Bulls day even worse. Still side by side, I think? No, not quite. The Haas did manage to get ahead of the Red Bull on the run down towards turn 1.
Yeah, so that is George Nader making up a place. Alpha Butcher, like you said, just sticking behind at the moment. And we are in that pattern that we always talk about. The first phase of F1 League racing, because of how close everyone is. We saw this in esports as well. Everyone's quite happy to just stay in the same area and not push too hard, although Duncan Hoffland pushing Will Lewis quite hard there. Will has now dropped outside of the DRS range of the cars in front, so that's bad news for Duncan. And I think he's watching his, what were admittedly already slim championship hopes, I think fully expiring at this race. As things stand at the moment, and it is still very early days, Alpha Butcher would be taking the lead of the championship, and I think Max Wiesel would also be closing in quite dramatically as well, with neither Ruben or Joost being in the point. So this is an interesting race, still a long way to go, still obviously the pit stop phase, which will make things, make things a bit more interesting. Some drivers, we're hearing around about lap 10, lap 11, which for drivers wanting to go onto the set of medium tyres. Will we see anyone go earlier to try a really aggressive undercut? But with the DRS zones around here, we've already seen how powerful they are into 27 and 21. Will you leave yourself a sitting duck in that scenario? Istvan Pukki all over the back of Drake Dempsey at the moment, but I think just not close enough to really go for a move. And I've got to say, I'm impressed by how Drake and Mirko are doing in their first races in this tier.
It's not bad, is it? I mean, Drake is up a position from his start. Where's Mirko at the moment? 7th, so he is where he started, but he's certainly holding his own against the rest. I got to commentate on Mirko Soriano yesterday, and yeah, a very, very solid contender indeed. So looking forward to seeing how he performs in this category. As the field continuing to work their through with Floris Reyes is just out there hot lapping at the moment, but he's 17 seconds behind their pack. What else? What other chances he got? But bearing in mind the characteristics of this track makes the chance of a safety car that much higher. If somebody does have a big moment, then it's almost a guaranteed safety car at this point. So we'll see. Joost Noordijk very close to Matthew Alder. That's a disconnect for Ismail Farsi. Oh no, that's he's the one that's out of the race. So I actually assumed that was a disconnect, but never mind. What it was just a manual. Joost Noordijk's not able to get past, or hasn't gotten past yet, the Red Bull of Matthew Alder. He may well just kind of accept where he is for the time being and push on when he's got a bit stickier tyres. Lap 10, lap 11, that seems a little early by my standards, but then, like I say, I'm not a driver, so I'm forever getting the pit stop strategy wrong. I would have thought it would be closer to kind of lap 15 or so, where the hard tyres are discarded, but we will see. But if the undercut is powerful, especially in this kind of long train, if someone's being just held up those little few tenths, then it may well be worth having a go at the undercut.
Yeah, someone's trying to have a go at the overtake there. Duncan Hoffland getting so close to passing Will Lewis, but as soon as he pulls out as a slipstream, loses that effect, and well, squeezing his old VSR.
Oh, trouble for Norbert Jakob. He's hit something, or someone's hit him. I just kind of cut to him at the wrong time. I saw his end plate just fly up in the air. So that's trouble then for the Red Bull. He's lost his, I think it's just one rim. No, is it both of them? No, it's the left one he's lost. So he's just going to plummet through the field now.
Yeah, he is. That left end plate missing. So must have clipped the wall, I imagine, somewhere in that first sector. He's dropped behind Baena, Lundin, Martikainen and Pedreño. Got very close together, and that has put a bit of a split in the field now. Baena's dropped 1.1 seconds behind George Nader, so don't be surprised if he starts pushing hard on his ERS. As older Noordijk also now gaining that free position. You really don't want to lose your end plate around any circuit, particularly not one, as I've already said, that's got more corners than any other currently in Formula 1. And if some of the rumours to be believed about the permanent Jeddah circuit, that might have, well, the permanent Saudi Arabia circuit, I should say, that might have even more in the future. Leaders just heading around turn number 27 for the 7th time. Danny Lusik still leading this race. Albi Butcher second, Christoph Sellers third, Max Wiesel in 4th. Drake Dempsey looking pretty close to the back of the Alpine car at the moment, but does indeed stay behind. And I was too. I was surprised as well also, going back to the strategy when the driver said, around about lap 10 or lap 11. But we're seeing that a lot on this game, that you almost treat the hard tyres in terms of life as a set of soft tyres, and then go onto the mediums and do more laps on them. And I think it's more just because of how dreadful the harder tyres are to warm up on this game. You can find yourself losing loads of time indeed, and really leaving yourself quite vulnerable. Norbert Jakob comes into the pits, heads straight back out there. That is going to be a set of medium tyres. Might still be able to get those towards the end of the race, but it is going to be a very long evening indeed for the Red Bull driver, and his teammate looks like he's going to have a very long evening as well, just as are the majority of the field, just stuck in the middle of this train.
Yeah, that's the trouble. Because the field is so close on pace, it's really difficult to gain an advantage over anybody. It's very difficult to banzai anywhere on this particular circuit. Yes, it is a big heavy braking zone into turn 27, but then it's a decent straight you've got heading down towards turn 1. DRS does help to mitigate the disadvantage gained when you make the move. Ika Baena is trying his hardest to close in on the pack ahead. He's burnt up all his battery to try and get back in DRS range. As I say, the DRS effect is pretty decent. I thought it wouldn't be that useful here, but it's actually proving absolutely vital to our drivers. And now Ika Baena's got no battery left at all to be able to push on. He would desperately like a safety car to come out right about now, but unless someone bins it, I don't think his prayers are going to be answered on that one. It's still losing from Butcher, from Zeller, the top 3.
Yeah, we saw the power of the DRS on that straight there. Ika Baena coming out of turn number 24, 25 before you lose for DRS was about 1.1 seconds behind Nader, about 0.9 seconds ahead of Lundy. By the time they got to turn number 1, he was 1.5 seconds behind the Haas, and only half a second ahead of the Canadian as well. Lewis becomes the second man in this race to get a penalty. He said he was just vibing in qualifying. He's probably not vibing too much now. Down in 16th place, 3-second penalty. Going to be another car who might struggle to get anything out of this one. We shouldn't be too long before we're seeing a few cars think about diving in towards pits. You can see the position changes there. Carter, the biggest winner on the first lap, gaining 6 places. Norbert Jakob obviously losing quite a lot, down 11. And also as well, Joost Noordijk and Floris Vyers both down 5. The Dutch duo having their own issues on lap number 1 around here. As the leaders just carry on once more. No signs of them pushing at the moment. If we can guarantee one thing with strategy so far this season, from what we've seen from Alfie Butcher, he's a fan of going longer than everyone else. He likes to have the fresher tyres at the end of the race. He likes to have to push. It's just when the field is this close that sometimes leaves him vulnerable, obviously, to being undercut and then having to make quite a lot of overtakes.
True enough, but he's got 2 wins already this season and 2 further podiums outside of that. He's had 2 bad results as well, so 2 seems to be his number leading into this particular round, along with 2 DNSs as well. So, yep, he's 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 as far as his results are concerned in that respect. So, and he's currently in position number 2. So expect him to stay there. No, of course he's going to push on. But Alfie is very much got wise head on young shoulders. He knows how to do a very, very good strategy. He knows how to push at the right times, how to harvest that energy no matter where he goes. So he's very, very good at playing a good strategy. He hasn't lucked into his results. His pace has been unreal and, for the most part, pretty consistent as well. So, we've said this time and again, and I make no apology for saying it again, Alfie Butcher is definitely one to watch. That being said, certainly here in Jeddah, he's being made to work for it. So, losing Zeller, Max Wiesel there as well. Of course, we've seen a win for him last time out. We've had a couple of wins for Joost. Of course, Joost is now down in 14th. Ruben Pedreño isn't here. He's another winner in this series. And George Nader is also another winner. He's in this DRS train, but he is in 8th position at present, so not completely out of it, of course, but needing a bit more luck on his side. And Ika Baena is first to pull the trigger, and it was indeed on 10 laps, and that's medium tyres going on to the Mercedes.
Yeah, I think now that Baena's realised, getting into that train was going to be pretty much impossible, going on the medium tyres early might be his only chance to get himself further up and get a good result in this race. The Spaniard so far this season, his best finish, he's had 2 5th places so far this season, 1 in Mexico and 1 in Italy. He'll be hoping to match that tonight as Norbert Jakob sets the fastest lap of the race. We're now on board with someone who might gain from that pit stop. Santeri Martikainen in the top 10. A driver who did fantastically well around here last year on the PlayStation platform, manages to get a podium. Here in PCF2, it was Luke Smith who took the victory. He's absent tonight, obviously now very busy driving for the Alpine esports team. Jack West in second place. He's going to need to go some to beat that. And Andrei Tarabukin, who is not here. So here comes Martikainen all over the back of Carter Lundy. You don't really normally see many overtakes at this part of the circuit, and Santeri, in the end, deciding just to back off there. But you'd imagine in towards turn number 27 or in towards turn number 1, the Alpine is going to be a bit of a sitting duck.
Yeah, the Alpine's got no one to DRS off of. There goes Martikainen out of line, and may have actually opted not to complete the move at that particular point, because he's now going to have DRS here. He's probably going to dump the throttle here, and in comes Carter Lundy. So Santeri wouldn't have known that Carter was coming in at that particular point, but Martikainen was not completing the move at turn 27, did not want to leave himself open to counterattack. So he decided to just back out of the move at the last second, but that's now Carter onto the medium tyres. Where's he going to reappear in relation to Bayern is in again. Oh, he's retiring, so Bayern must have had a problem out on circuit. So that's the second retirement of the race. Out comes Carter Lundy. He's going to be ahead of Flores by about 5.5 seconds or so.
Yeah, I think obviously that was expected after the issues that Flores has had earlier on, and his mediums they're still going to be good for a few more laps on the heavier fuel loads, but yeah, not expected. We've got Adam Mocco saying they're pitted earlier. Did Carter have damage? It's, 10 or 11 was probably the earliest we were expecting drivers to come into the pits for a set of the medium tyres. And I think Carter realising that he didn't have DRS anymore, might as well be worth doing that undercut, seeing if you can pull into the rest of the field. But he was 3 seconds behind George Nader, so it is going to have to be one heck of an undercut, and we've got one heck of a train out of the front. Still 8 cars, all of them within 3.5 seconds of each other, from Danny Lusink, who leads, down to George Nader in 8th place at the moment. Are any of these going to dive their way into the pit lane? We've got one of them, Christoph Scheller. First one of our lead pack then to come into the pits. Gets it slowed down in time. And I think this is going to be the move that sets everyone else off. George Nader and Santeri Martikainen also coming in on lap 12.
I think Alfie's starting to get a little impatient now behind Lusing. He's really, really close to the rear wing of the McLaren. He's given himself a bit of a gap to what is now Wiesel, again due to Christoph Zeller coming into the pits. But he was getting really close, hovering around 2.5 tenths of a second behind the McLaren. So I wonder if Alfie is beginning to push it a little bit more. He wants to try and get some more pace going out of these hard tyres. We will see. But also, we're not seeing the mass bundle into the pits that we normally do. It's been a few people here and there. We did see 3 cars come in on the last time around, yes, but we still have 12 cars out there on their starting tyre. So several different ideas on pit stop strategy for this race, which is great to see. It's great to see who's going to push the tyres a bit longer. I would think now's a little bit more realistic, personally, for making the mediums go towards the end. But again, as we've been saying, overtaking is a challenge here. So having dead tyres, you don't quite recreate the Monaco difficulty, but it's certainly out there on the challenging front as far as getting past anyone's concerned. So making your car as wide as possible is a bit more possible here. I'm watching Carter Lundy as well. He's really hustling Martikainen. Here we go. Another 3 cars into the pits. Lusing, Wiesel and Dempsey all coming in. Alfie doing it again. He's staying long, but he's got no DRS. Oh, 6 cars have come into the pits. And as you said earlier, Luke, now the trigger has very much been pulled.
Yeah, and I think you can see just how early Carter did come into the pits by the fact that Santeri was able to pull the overcut on him. Probably would have passed him anyway. In fact, you're going to see Carter get the move back, but he spent an entire lap stuck behind Santeri. Matthew Older going to make his way out of the pit lane then. It's actually going to be pretty close here with Matthew Older on the outside, and he's got ahead of Santeri. So stopping out longer seems to have been the way at the moment. Danny Lusink managing to stay ahead of Christoph Scheller, and Danny's just about within DRS range of Jack West, and boy, might he need that, because Scheller is all over the back of him at the moment. So this is going to be very intriguing to see where Alfie Butcher comes out. Was that the ideal lap to come into the pits, or has Alfie just called it right here by going that one extra lap longer. We will have to wait and see. Matthew now having to defend quite hard from Santevi himself. George Nader picks up a time penalty, obviously pushing hard out of the pits to make sure he stays in range with everyone. And again, given how close things are, and given the likelihood of a safety car, these 3-second time penalties are going to be extremely costly. Sometimes, sometimes they don't lose you any places whatsoever. If the field remains as close as it has done since the start of the race, you could easily, lose 4 or 5 positions.
Very, very true. Alfie was pushing hard on that lap. He was burning up his battery to oblivion. So he wants to make that overcut work, and it's Danny Lusing that he is challenging. Here comes the McLaren. Alfie is on the move. Of course, the pit lane exit cuts right into turn 1. Who's going to win out here? That's going to be close. Jack West is right in the middle of this. And Alfie Butcher has managed to make it work. So as Danny Lusing tripped over Jack West Ferrari and unfortunately put the very worn tyre Ferrari into a bit of a spin, Zeller got past the McLaren as well. And Alfie Butcher's like, you carry on, I'm off.
Yeah, you have your own battle, sunshine. You keep hitting each other. I'll just take the net lead of this race, and that is Christoph Scheller now. Up in towards 4th place, on warm tyres as well. Danny Lusing down the inside. We said you sometimes see moves at this corner, and there we go. Danny Lusing up in towards 4th place. He's angry, I think, after that move with Jack West. Not really happy about that one, but Jack is entitled to fight for the position. Just got to wonder, though, whether that was a bit of a futile fight. Fresh mediums versus now 14-lap old hard tyres. It is only Jack, Ruben and Will left to come into the pits. Alfie Butcher in the net lead of this race, with Lusing, Scheller, Wiesel, Pookie, Dempsey and Nader still all in this DRS train.
Very, very closely bunched, especially Butcher, Lusing, Zeller and Wiesel. There's a tiny bit of a gap to Pookie, but not by much, as Lusing has managed to leapfrog Alfie Butcher, but use a fair amount of ERS energy to do so. Now, here we go. Now the gloves are very much off. Lusing has set himself up for a counter-attack. Here comes Alfie Butcher. Wants the inside line for turn 1. That should be fairly straightforward. And there it is. Yeah, Danny didn't find that one, but Zeller has been nudged by Wiesel. Pookie trying to get past the Alpine, and they come together. Max Wiesel's been spun round. It was a good thing he ghosts, otherwise that would have been absolutely disastrous. Ethan Pookie has lost the position to George Nader. Oh my goodness me. I said the gloves were off. I didn't mean it quite that literally. Goodness me, gentlemen.
Wow. Where on earth has all this come from? I mean, we've had contact coming out of turn 1. On the previous lap, there was contact coming into turn 1. It is all kicking off now. Mirko Suriano's got ahead of this man Pookie, who I think must have picked up some damage in all of that. Just trying to see on board from the back of Suriano. Can't see any obvious damage on Pookie's car at the moment, but you only need a bit of floor damage, especially on this game. Side pod or front wing damage really does put you in a bit of a pickle. Butcher, though, retook the lead of the race quite comfortably, Lusing in the next second place, Scheller in third, and it was, I mean, that's the thing, how close things are at the moment. You go for a move or you go slightly offline, another car's going to be right behind you to try to take advantage, and it's that kind of scenario. Everything sort of bunches up to one line on the exit of 2 and 3.
Yeah, very, very true. And that is Pedreño in. Will Lewis is really going quite some distance on those hard tyres now. He's going to become real popular real quick soon, as the lead group are catching up to the Mercedes very, very fast now. Also in Max Wiesel. Oh no, last race, I should say, winner is in the pits. Only 2 laps on those medium tyres. New nose going on the Alpine. Soft tyres. Why not? Give it a go, I suppose. He'll need the extra grip from those tyres to actually get past people in the first race. Flores Valles has come in 15 laps on those medium tyres, and they are probably cooked. He's going on to hard tyres, really? All right. Sue yourself. That's a strange decision to me, but he's coming back out again. New nose as well on the Williams. So at least Flores is still going. That's pretty much the only positive he can draw.
Yeah, I think just enjoying himself at the moment. Don't be surprised if you see late pit stops from him, late pit stops from Jack, and a late pit stop from Will Lewis. And we saw Will do this alongside Matthew Alder at Monza, and it turned out to be quite decisive, where George Nader was able to get ahead of Will and Matthew a lot easier than the rest of the field. and was just able to break away and build that gap at the moment. So will we see something here similar? I'm not sure. Generally, this circuit with its 3 DRS zones and Will Lewis having very old tyres and practically no ERS should be a lot simpler for the likes of Alfie, Danny, Christoph and the rest of the pack to really pick up some points. But things are just going... I mean, things are just getting better and better for Alfie Butcher. He's the only driver, as things stand at the moment, as George Nader now actually comes into the pits. He must have had some damage as well, so he retires. As things stand at the moment, George Nader is the only driver in the top... Alfie Butcher is the only driver in the top 5 in the championship that is scoring any points whatsoever.
God, look at the battle of the ninth of Lundy, Alder, Martikainen and Hopland. And Pedreño is right in this mixture as well. They are absolutely scrapping like mad at the moment for any position they can gain. So it is really, really intense in that particular pack. I'm also going to keep an eye on Alfie Butcher because he is catching up quickly to Will Lewis, as you would expect. Now, what's Will going to do? Strictly speaking, he is allowed to defend that position, but he's on very dead tyres with a penalty as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to get out of the way, but where can he go? The problem is this circuit is so twisty and so narrow that trying to get out of the way could be problematic as well. So we'll see what he's able to do. It could be lucky, and Alfie may back off just a little bit to let Mercedes get into the pits without holding him up too much. Yeah, Alfie Butcher and backing off are very mutually exclusive phrases, especially with Danny Lucing very hot on the heels of the Williams. Here we go, and now Will Lewis actually went to the outside. Oh no, Danny's hit the side of the Mercedes. Will was trying to stay out of the way, but I don't think Danny read that one quite right. As in comes the Mercedes, and in comes Danny as well. The McLaren is in. Oh, goodness me. Along with Christoph Zeller. Yeah. Okay, I didn't expect Zeller to come in.
Zeller, I think, just hit straight into the back of... Straight into the back of Danny Lusink, obviously had nowhere to go, and that is yeah, I don't think Will Lewis is going to make himself the most popular with that. I mean, yeah, whoever he saw, you've got to presume he just did not see Danny coming straight down the inside. But that is now Alfie Butcher with a... things are just getting better and better for him. Alfie Butcher now has a 2-second lead in this race. Yes, it's promoted Joost Noordijk into the points, but he is in 10th place, and it is very unlikely, barring penalties, that anyone... he will be able to gain any places. It's also very unlikely that he will be able to lose any places, but you've got to feel sorry there. Christoph and Danny. I mean, especially Christoph. He was just, on the scene of someone else's accident.
Yeah. I don't really think Will Lewis did anything wrong. He actually was on the outside line trying to mind his own business. I actually think Danny understeered into him. I was riding on board with the McLaren at the time. It didn't look like that Will tried to come onto the racing line. It actually looked to me that Danny understeered into him, but again, the stewards can back that one out if they so choose to. Danny's car is ghosted, so it could be that Danny is disconnected. I didn't see a message if that is the case, but that McLaren is ghosted as the other McLaren, Pedreño, is nailed Alder. He's going to go for Carter Lundy as well. He's trying to nail both of them on the way down to 27. Can he do it? Yes, he can. He actually managed to get Alder and Carter Lundy in the same manoeuvre. I mean, that does set him up for a DRS counter-attack. Here comes Carter Lundy now, as well as Matt Alder. All of them within a tenth of each other. Can they survive into turn one? Yes, they can. That's brought Martikainen and Duncan Hoffman into that mixture as well. 5-way battle for position number 5.
Yeah, this is absolutely incredible at the moment. Someone just said, where's Carter come from to be in P5? All of a sudden, he's not in P5 anymore. Pedreño, who's had a tough couple of races, obviously, was leading the championship for quite a while, has not had a podium. He's not had a podium since round number 4 of the season at Mexico. He's got a fairly decent chance, you'd imagine, at the moment of finishing, in 4th place. That might allow him to just get ahead of Joost in the championship once more. Obviously, Alfie will, barring anything crazy, Alfie will be leading the championship heading into the final 2 rounds at Austin. And Silverstone, let us know in the chat who you think is going to take the victory with... Well, it's pretty obvious, I think, who's going to take a victory. Let us know who's going to win with this battle, then, with Carter, Matthew, Salteri, and Duncan Hoffman. The battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And if you want to try predicting real-life F1, you can do using Grid Rival, our affiliated league. Link in the description is below for that. And you can also check out our lead partners here, GT Omega, to get 5% off. Use the code PSGL. As Alfie Butcher crosses the finish line, 5 laps to go. Everything looking very good at the moment for Alfie, as that is Duncan Hoffland down the inside on Santeri Martikainen. Duncan up into 8th.
Yeah, that was a pretty strong move there from Martikainen. He absolutely stormed through pretty confidently there on that final turn, but Santeri saw him coming and on he went nonetheless. So who is going to be challenging who? Well, Pedreño is now got some breathing space behind him to Carter Lundy and is looking at the back of the future esports driver of Istvan Pukki. Is he going to be able to challenge for 4th? Well, I think he is certainly able to. 2 laps fresher tyres, but not much energy in the tank. That's the advantage that the AlphaTauri has over the McLaren at the moment for 4th. But Carter Lundy's still there. Carter Lundy's got next to nothing left in the ERS tank at the moment, and with a few more laps on his tyres, may just have to bide his time and hope that a mistake happens ahead of him. Martikainen's not done with this battle yet. So many potential battles going on with 4.5 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, like you said, there's so much to fight for. Probably a bit late now to get a safety car unless we have an accident, you know, God forbid we do, on this lap. And if drivers get penalties, that could really swing things in another driver's favour. You can just see Duncan Hoffland trying to go all the way around the outside of Matthew Older in towards turn number 27. Thinks about the cutback, and this could work. Gets a bit of exit, gets retraction down. Can he use for DRS, and can he use some of that remaining ERS to get ahead of Matthew Older? That is Ruben Pedreño up into 4th place, just ahead, getting the move done. And Istvan Pukki, it's going to have to be the long way around for Duncan Hoffland. There's a bit of wheel banging between the two of them. Duncan's still hanging in there, and they're still going side by side at it. Surely one of them is going to have to yield. And it's Duncan on the outside, so he just slots in behind the Red Bull. But all this battling is just going to allow Pedreño, Pukki and Lundy to get away. And he's dragging Santeri back into things. And who knows, might also end up dragging Joost Noordijk back into this battle.
Christoph Zeller is determined to get past Norbert Jakob, and the Red Bull is determined to keep him behind. But the soft shot AlphaTauri does manage to work his way past the rather worn medium shot Red Bull for 12th position. 6 seconds to gain and only 4 laps to do it. May not gain too much further in his particular plight. Martikainen very close to the back of Hoffland, who's still close to the back of Alder, and Carter Lundy still staring at the diffuser of Istvan Pukki. So Istvan has fallen properly off the back of Pedreño now. So that may not yield any further positions gains for the Spaniard, as Siriano is still right with Drake Dempsey. So a podium battle is still raging on, albeit not for the top step. That looks pretty secure unless Alfie has a complete brain fart and just bins it. Here comes Siriano, DRS on the he thought about a move, but he wisely bowed out of that. It would have been too big a dive bomb, I think, if he tried that into turn 1, but he is putting the pressure on Drake Dempsey for 2nd.
Yeah, it does have the slightly fresher tyres, but the big difference, so Drake Dempsey with about 45% more ERS at the moment. So who wants to just use that tactically to maybe build a bit of a gap or obviously defend from the DRS? He could be in a very healthy situation here, as we've got a yellow flag, and that is Will Lewis. Did come into the pits, obviously, after that incident with himself and Danny Lusick. Will Lewis has just had a spin. He drops down towards 11th, and he's now got Scheller and Norbert Jakob all over the back of him. And Istvan Pukki has got Carter Lundy all over the back of him. This battle's still, you know, raining on for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. For Joost Noordijk has just about got himself within that DRS range. Scheller gets a penalty. Absolutely inconsequential, as are all the penalties in this race, but we'll get them up for you anyway. 3 seconds for Lewis, Scheller and Floris Valles, as finally, after 22 laps, Jack West comes into the pits off the hard tyres.
That's a very long way. How on earth he survived, I do not know. 3 laps to go, or by now is just shy of 2 laps remaining here at Jeddah, and still lots of battles to conclude. I'm riding on board with Duncan Hoffland, and he burns out the inside of Matthew Alder again. That seems to be his favourite move into turn 27, the final turn. He just sets a big move for that inside line, and he's made it stick without impact, as that is Carter. No, sorry, this is from Pukki defending. Oh no, Duncan has bounced off the side pod of Carter. He's been collected by Martikainen, as Carter Lundy's got himself a 5-second corner cut penalty. That will probably be removed, as he was run into by Duncan Hoffland. Oh, you'd never want to see it. What a great shame for that battle to end in such a way.
And Yost Nordike's got front wing damage for all of that. Santeri didn't Ghost, neither did Yost. Oh my goodness, what is happening here? Because that is, you know, Carter's going to, like he said, get that penalty removed, but he's not going to lose too many places because Yost Nordike plummeting down the field here. Could we even see Yost fall outside of the points? He's trying to hold it off round the outside of Santeri Martikainen, but in a crippled car, no matter how good you are, I think that is going to be an almost impossible task, and surely eventually he's going to have to yield this position. And there we go, that is Santeri, who has also got some damage on his front wing. He's also lost out with that one. So Duncan, despite getting that hit, hasn't actually lost too much. He's, you know, right on the back of Matthew and Carter Lundy again. So this could still be fairly fascinating, as now Mirko Soriano starting to look a bit more racy on the back of Drake Dempsey. 1 lap to go for these guys. Could this be the moment that Mirko goes for second?
Could well be. He's side by side with the Ferrari. Can he get it done into turn 1? Drake gives him the racing room. Tries to count back on turn 2. Can't get it done. Mirko Soriano up into second, but can he hold it? The Ferrari's got plenty of ERS energy. The Alfa Romeo's got, well, he's still got some, but not as much as Drake does. So, ooh, and Drake getting squiggly coming through. Turns, 4 through to 6 and X amount of million up to the next million. But Drake has already fallen about 3/10 back. Has he burned the best out of those tyres already? Has Soriano timed it perfectly? Let's see. My goodness me, Drake is pushing as hard as he can to try and keep the Alfa Romeo in check, but Soriano made just to time that perfectly. Still the rest of the lap to go.
Yeah, still the rest of the lap to go. Of course, Drake's going to have DRS into the final corner, and he has got a tiny bit more battery as if it's a yellow flag. I'm not quite sure who that one is. I think it might be Norbert Jakob, who's had a moment further back down in 14th place. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a puncture with that one, but here they come into effectively the final corner. Comes Alfie Butcher. He's going to take the victory in this race, but who is going to finish in second place down the inside? Drake Dempsey onto the final corner. He's got more battery life, but somehow Mirko Soriano's managed to stretch away. Butcher takes the victory. It's a drag race towards the line, and it is going to be, right, 27 thousandths of a second. Mirko Soriano, on his PC debut in PSGL, takes second place. Drake Dempsey, his first race in the second tier, takes third position. Pedreño, Pookie, Older, Hoffland, Lundy with that penalty, which we imagine will get removed. Santeri in ninth. Yost Nordike did hold on for the final points, but certainly not been the race that he would have wanted. Scheller, Lewis, Lusink, of course, is driving around in an AI car. Then Jacob, Reyes, and West will be the final finishers. And Max Wiesel also actually retiring on the final lap there. But Alfie Butcher takes the victory. And if I just do some quick maths, I believe that means he now has an 8-point lead heading into the final 2 rounds.
Wow, it's definitely advantage Butcher at that particular point. Duncan Hoffland was 12 thousandths behind Matt Older for 6th place. My goodness, that was close. So we did think it was going to be instant impact, and, well, we were proven right.
Yeah, certainly were proven right. And I think after qualifying, we said, you know what, Alfie Butcher might be somewhere up the front. He did a brilliant job. Ruben Pedreño as well, drive for the day. Let's not forget, he had a qualifying ban. I don't think he started last because of the amount of people who decided, you know what, I don't want to be anywhere near the front of the field at the start of this race. But Ruben coming, finishing in 4th place. And despite that qualifying ban, he's actually managed to get himself now ahead of Yost in the championship. But it is a 3rd victory of the season. The first man to get to 3 wins. 8 points ahead. He can claim the title next time out at the United States. Alfie Butcher taking the victory, and great to see 2 reserves. Mirko Soriano and Drake Dempsey also on the podium. We get the rest of our provisional results then. Ruben Pedreño 17th to 4th in the end for him. He's now 2nd in the championship. Istvan Pukki is in 5th in that race. Matthew Older 6th. Duncan Hoffland 7th. Carter Lundy 8th after contact with Duncan and then getting a 5-second penalty. Don't be surprised if the Canadian tries to get that one removed. Santeri coming home in 9th for his first points of the season. Yost Nordike in 10th. The first time this season that Yost has taken part in a race and failed to make it onto the podium. Christoph Scheller missing out on the points after he gained damage in the contact between Lusink and Will Lewis in 11th place for Cello. Will Lewis in 12th. Lusink's AI was 13th. Norbert Jacob 14th. Floris Vyers 15th with the fastest lap. Jack West a lap down. He did see the checkered flag. Max Wiesel a lap down. Did not see the checkered flag. And neither did George Nader, Ika Baena, and Ismail Fassi. And it is fair to say, Chris, that was a bit of a crazy race, but not so much, well, certainly not after the contact happened between Danny and Will, not at the front of the race, because that was just, Alfie had a gap from that point, and he never looked like losing it.
No, he was in command from lights to flag, really. He may not have had the lead the whole time. Danny Lusink made him work for it early on. But post-pit stop, once Jack West probably had a bit of a role to play, because as soon as his car got tripped over by Danny and Christoph, etc., who were in that pack at the time, Alfie then had the opportunity to absolutely run. But also, Alfie pushed really hard on his overcut to make it work as well as he did. He just played the strategy well. Yes, capitalized on the misfortunes of others, but that's racing for you. He's in a really, really strong position to take the title this time around.
Yeah, he is. I think a similar result next week wouldn't quite be enough, because Ruben would still be mathematically in things. But yeah, certainly a bit of a crazy one. And let's not forget, that was the second contact that Danny had with someone else in that race, having that incident with Jack West, wasn't it? Jack West was going around, and he had that little bit of an incident. But we can tell you, we have got drivers in the interview room waiting to get interviewed by us. So let's bring in a couple of our podium sitters, and it is, for the third time this season, a victory for Alfie Butcher. You know, again, a fantastic performance from yourself, making the overcuts work this time.
Yeah, it was a good race. I was quite surprised, but obviously the battling definitely helped that. And yeah, good to see.
Yeah, just tell us about all the battling, because I don't know whether you saw when you come out of the pits, things were pretty close between Danny and Jack, and then obviously you managed to get ahead of Will Lewis into the final corner, and Danny, unfortunately for him, did not.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure what happened there, but I think it was a little bit aggressive from Danny, but obviously I understand what he's trying to do, like trying to stay with me and stick with. So yeah, it was a bit unfortunate, but I'm not too sure it was at fault there.
And now 8 points ahead, heading into the final 2 rounds of the season. Do you think there's a possibility you can wrap things up at Austin, or you're just taking things one step at a time?
There's definitely a chance, but yeah, obviously I've got the race. I don't know how many rounds left, but yeah, I've got some time still.
Yes, 8 points ahead, 2 rounds left, with Austin and Silverstone being left. But congratulations, Alfie, on the victory. We'll let you head off.
Thank you.
And next up, we've got the man who finished just in 3rd place on his debut here in PCF2 this season. It is Drake Dempsey. And Chris, why don't you take us through this one?
My goodness me, Drake, you had a hell of a race, didn't you? You were always in a pack. Was there any kind of strategy involved if you were in that kind of pack, or what was your thinking coming into this race?
I knew there was going to be fast drivers, of course, and didn't expect quite a podium, but I was not really too concerned about pushing in that stint where I was behind all the cars. So I was just trying to keep it consistent and keep the gap around 6 to 4/10 at least.
Oh, you certainly managed that, and you made those fast drivers you mentioned really work hard for the positions you were in. Again, fantastic stuff, and what a way to make your name in F2.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. Sucks that I missed out on the P2 by 27 thousandths, but hey, a lot more than I expected, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Does this give you a bit of boost of confidence moving forward?
I mean, definitely. Going into it, I had quite a bit of practice. I started last week, so I was pretty prepared for this, strategy-wise, and knew the track quite well, so pretty happy to be up here where I am. Had hard work pay off.
Awesome stuff. We look forward to seeing you again out there on track. Thank you very much, Drake Dempsey.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Drake for joining us. Doesn't look like we are going to be seeing Mirko, unfortunately. Would have been interested to see what he thought of what was, a brilliant final lap battle between himself and Drake, but the big story. I think the big story today is obviously going to be those incidents.
Yeah, the stewards are going to be pretty busy after that one. I can see in the Discord chat that there's quite a few accusations going on, and I'm not surprised because there were some questionable moments, but that is the nature of this circuit. It forces drivers to make unorthodox maneuvers to try and gain an advantage, and there are times they just don't pay off. So, yep, I'm glad I'm not involved in that. I'll wait for the stewards to do their thing. But we still have 2 very exciting rounds to go.
Yeah, we do. 2 rounds to go. Silverstone in a couple of weeks' time. Next time out, it is going to be at COTA for the round number 10 of the season, Circuit of the Americas for US Grand Prix. Alfie Butcher leading the championship, 76 points. Ruben Pedreño on 68. Joost Noordijk now on 67. Max Wiesel still with a mathematical chance to go on 50, but 9 points between the top 3. It is going to be so close. And yes, I know he got a big advantage today, but I can't see things going that bad for Joost next time out, and I can't see obviously Ruben won't have that same qualifying ban. So it will be interesting to see how things work out at Austin.
It very much will, and we do hope that you lovely people join us next week, same time, same place, for more F2 racing action here at PSGL. We very much look forward to that. I love COTA. I love Silverstone. Bias, yes, and I'm not going to apologise for it either. Very much looking forward to the remaining rounds of the season.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be a fascinating end to the season. If, though, you saw all of that Jeddah action tonight and thought, you know what, I fancy some more of that, then you are in luck. Tomorrow is going to be the rest of the PC tiers, PC F3 to F6. There's going to be the lower PlayStation tiers on Sunday, and the top tier on Monday from the PlayStation platform, where the Mirko Soriano, aka Denerko, is running away with things at the moment, and tonight will have certainly given him a big confidence boost. And as Chris has already mentioned, myself and him will be back in a week's time from Circuit of the Americas for the penultimate round of the season. A big thank you to Alfie and Drake for joining us tonight. A big thanks to Chris once again for being a superb commentating partner. And let's not forget our sponsors, Grid Rival, and our lead partners, GT Omega, who have provided some lovely chairs for all of the commentators with their cameras on. And you can also get these as well, 5% off using the code PSGL. But for myself and Chris, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in a week's time on the Circuit of the Americas. Will Alfie take the championship, or will he go down to the final round? There's only one way to find out. See you in a week. Take care, and goodbye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega and Grid Rival, proudly supporting PSGL.